Hey there, watch lovers. This is your host Slaz back at you again. It is that time of the week again, Wednesday. This is the Watch Me Talk segment. This is part 3 to the state of the collection. The final part as well. Here before us, we got 12 watches, and I think we can get through all 12 of these today. Let's jump right into it. So we'll kick it off with the first watch in this box. This is the Timex Expedition Solar. Basically, this timepiece here, the dial, the entire dial of this timepiece is a solar panel that absorbs the energy and recharges the internal battery on this watch. Not really much to be said here. This is a timepiece that in pictures look a lot better than it actually feels in person. This is a very plasticky watch. It was kind of one of those buys. I seen it online. I was like, you know what? It looks like a nice timepiece. Let's give it a try. And when I got my hands on it, it feels like a toy. I've only worn it a handful of times. Not worth talking about, but I'll give you some close up on it. So yeah. All right, moving on to watch number 2 in the collection. This is another Timex. This is I think it's called Timex Activity Tracker. Basically, it's an activity tracking Timex. Sorry about the plane above. Basically, this pairs to your smartphone via the Timex Smart Tracker app or something like that it's called. And you can track your calories that you're burning based on how much movement the watch is going. I'm not sure how they manage to track all that stuff, but nonetheless, it is a fitness watch basically. I think this beats wearing a digital watch, so if I would recommend this for anyone who's trying to, if you're trying to stay fit and you go on runs and so on and so forth. This is not a bad watch, and it doesn't look bad at all either. It's a pretty nice looking timepiece, just a little hefty. It's about 14.5 mils thick. This thing is extremely thick, and I'll give you some close-ups on this. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It looks like a GMT, but don't get confused. It is not a GMT. The extra hand you see on that dial is basically for fitness tracking, and then you have an additional meter to the right bottom corner, which is a percentage meter. That basically is a percentage to goal meter, and that kind of tracks your how much of your goal you've accomplished as you wear the watch. So yeah, not much to be said there. Not that interesting of a timepiece. Moving on to the next one. This next watch here is a brand that I'm pretty fond of. I like what they do. It's very unique. They do different designs that are inspired by the Soviet Union. I mean, this is a Vostok. I mean, let's just jump right into it and say it. This is a Vostok. They make, so, Vostok is kind of a controversial brand because they make inexpensive watches, and a lot of people think that these are watches that are kind of meant to be disposable over time. And I agree, but I take pretty good care of my watches, and they make these things pretty durable. So, I personally just like the aesthetics of this watch. You can take a look at that domed acrylic crystal that it has on there. Very nice polish on this case. This is a 39 mil case, so it's not too big of a watch. It is a friction bezel, so not the best bezel. I just like it for its aesthetics. I think it looks very neat. This looks very, very vintage, and that's something that really appeals to me. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm going to give you guys some close-ups of this timepiece. I really do like what's going on with the dial here. And believe it or not, this actually has some really, really good lume for the price. Moving on to the next one here, which is another Vostok. These are the Komandyrskis. So if anyone is familiar with the Vostok's Komandyrski, I'll probably do a review on these too. Here we have another Vostok. I have this one on a tan strap. And I'll give you some better close-ups of this here in just a bit. But beautiful, beautiful dial. Once again, the lume on this is not bad whatsoever for the price. This is a pretty good buy. You know, if you're into those different style watches, I highly recommend the Vostoks, the Komandurskis, the Amphibians. They have a pretty good lineup, so I highly recommend them. And if you're into the modding side of things, then these are heavily modded in the modding realm, or whatever you want to refer to it as. But yeah, there you have it. Moving on to the next one. All right, guys, so this next watch here is a watch that I feel is very underrated. This is a chronograph by Casio. In my opinion, probably one of the best chronographs under 50 bucks. And I believe this is the MTP 4500. I also did a review on this. If you haven't already watched that, that'll be up somewhere here on the video. So you can go back and watch that review. But again, overall, this is a very, very nicely executed timepiece. At the price, I just can't believe that Casio was able to offer so much value here. You know, the construction of this watch, the dial, the you know, the execution of the design of this watch overall, it's amazing. It is a friction bezel, which I think is a pretty good friction bezel. And then another function you get here with the chronograph is kind of a flyback function, you know, and that's not typically something you find in a watch in this price range. But yeah, there you have it. That is the Casio MTP 4500, I believe. Moving on to the next Casio in my collection, and I only have two of them. This one I also did a review on. This is the Casio Luminator. This is about a $14, $15 priced. It's in that range, somewhere around there. Amazing watch. I just love the retro vibe to this watch. Reminds me a lot of those old Casios with the remote IR functions on them. Pretty neat. Just kind of brought back some memories, and that's really the reason why I picked this up. So yeah, moving on to a watch brand that I'm gonna be honest with you, I haven't heard much of, and I found them on Amazon by accident. And then I've seen them a couple times around, and I picked up two of their watches, and I gotta say I'm pretty impressed with this particular one. This is a MDC military watch. This is it's basically a field watch. It's supposed to give you that military vibe. I really like this watch, man. I mean, take a look at that. I'll probably do a review on this. And what's even more shocking is the price of this watch. And something that I noticed about this quartz movement that's in here, and I'm not sure what kind of movement they have in here, there's really no bounce back of the seconds hand. And I'll give you some close-ups on that here in just a bit. But there's no bounce back of the seconds hand. It tends to hit almost every indices. Pretty accurate timepiece. Again, it is a quartz movement that's expected. You get a date function on this, or a date complication, better said. The finish on the case, yeah, it's not that well done. But again, I really more so for, you know, the looks of this watch, and I like every now and then wearing this. This really looks very military style, and I find that very appealing. And the lume on this is not bad for the price. Oh, and by the way, the price on this, you ready for this? $18 is what I paid for that watch. All right, so anyways, moving on here to another one. This is another MDC. I believe this is rocking the same movement, because you really do have that same situation going on. Now, the finish on this case seems to be a little bit better than the previous one I showed you. And I do rather the I forgot what this is called up here. I forgot what it's called, but the track on around the bezel. I rather this one than the other one. This is an all black one. I don't usually wear this because I'm not a big fan of all black watches. They just tend to look kind of cheesy and cheap to me. But I mean, I like it nonetheless. It's a nice watch. And same price on this one's about 18 bucks. That's also on a rich watch band. Most of these watches are. So yeah, moving on to the next one. Next watch and we're approaching the end here. But this is a watch that when I picked this up, honestly, really was more so because it reminded me of one of my favorite watches that hopefully soon I own, and that is the Rolex Air King. And I mean, just take a look at this. This is a Bliger. I usually don't recommend these off brands just simply because they're off brands, and you know, if something happens to them, trying to get a warranty is probably going to be next to impossible. But anyways, the value you get with this is a pretty good value. This is rocking a Miyota movement. You get a sapphire glass on this, a pretty nice finish on this case overall. The bracelet that this came with was actually not half bad at all. I mean, it was a pretty decent bracelet. I'm just not a fan of bracelets. I tend to wear straps or NATOs, things like that. I currently have this one on a Rich watch band, and this is one of their leather vintage straps, which I just love the way that looks on there. It really gives the watch a nice vibe. So yeah, moving on to the next one. So this next watch here, this is a Pagani design, has been featured in some of my other videos. I believe I've done just kind of wrist check with them, with this watch, and showed it off that way. This is a pretty impressive watch for a couple of reasons, or three reasons more say. It's four. The price of this watch, you're going to get, for the price of this watch, which is under $100, you're going to get a ceramic bezel insert. You're going to get a, you're also going to get a sapphire crystal. It's a synthetic sapphire crystal, but nonetheless a sapphire. And you're also going to get a Seiko Mecha Quartz in this watch. That is rare, or it's hard to understand how they were able to offer that much value in that price range, because that movement alone probably runs about 30 to 40, maybe 50 bucks on its own. Granted, I'm sure they're buying it in mass, so then that kind of brings that cost down a bit. But yeah, and everyone who knows about the Mecha Quartz, they know about the sweeping effect you get on that chronograph hand. And I'll give you some close-ups of this as well here in just a bit. But yeah, overall, I'm very impressed with this watch. I do have a review coming on this soon, so stay tuned for that. Moving on. Another Pagani design, and like I said in one of my previous videos, I own a few Pagani designs. Even though I don't usually recommend them, I still own them because I like what they have to offer. This is the Pagani design. I mean, really, there's no other way of saying it, but the Hulk Submariner. I mean, it's really what it's trying to pay homage to. If you take a look here, again, another good valued watch. You get an NH35A movement in here by Seiko Instruments. So pretty accurate time. It's a workhorse. I mean, it really has a reputation. You also have a screw down exhibition back case on this. You're going to get a ceramic bezel insert. You're also going to get a sapphire crystal. So a lot of bang for your money there. I mean, the only drawbacks here is that the lume on this watch sucks. I mean, it is pretty bad. And the lume pip on this one actually fell off. So I had to improvise, and I had to put some acrylic paint in there to kind of fill that in because it was looking bad. Anyways, once again, I'll give you some close-ups on this watch here. But overall, this is a nice timepiece. The only thing I don't like Pagani did with this is that they made it a 42 millimeter. And that kind of, you know, falls short of what the real Submariner is like. The real Submariner is a 40 millimeter, I believe. And this is just way too big. I think it was an overkill. I mean, maybe they could have got away with doing a 41 millimeter max. But 44 or 42 is just, it's way too big. I mean, I like wearing it even though it's that big. I just love the way it looks on this tan strap here. Once again, this is a Rich watch band as well. All right, so moving on. Okay, so this watch here is a bit of a, it's one of those things, it's one of those watches that, you know, as I was learning about watches and I seen this and I was like, oh, I just want to pick that up, see what that looks like, because I had never seen a moon phase watch. So I seen this and I got this. This is by, I hope I pronounced this right, Guanqing? Yeah, whatever. Anyways, that is the brand of this watch. This is a terrible buy. This is one of those watches in my collection that I have not worn, not once. This thing has never been worn. If it has nicks on it, it came that way because I have never put this on the wrist. As soon as I got it in my hands, even at the time I didn't know about watches, I was like, what in the hell is this? Anyways, there you have it, folks. That is the last of my collection. Once again, this was the Wednesday Watch Me Talk segment. I think you guys are going to want to stay tuned for next week Watch Me Talk segment. That's going to be a pretty interesting one. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, smash that like button, and hit that bell icon so you're notified as these videos are uploaded. And if you haven't already followed me on Instagram, WatchLive777, go over to Instagram and follow me on there. I'm constantly posting pictures of new timepieces that are coming in and new ideas for the channel. All right, once again, this was Laz. Till the next one.